Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this special episode of The Fiz Show. I'll be your host tonight, and my name is Sekunda, the founder of Financial Insight. Now, Financial Insight has got some amazing and exciting news for all of you. And first and foremost, I'd like to thank you for tuning in every night with our partners, Prime TV, to watch these amazing episodes that we've been bringing into your living rooms. In today's episode, we make a big announcement. We're announcing our new product, which we're calling Fiz Shorts. Fiz Shorts was an idea that was birthed around how to better cover many of the events that are hosted by corporates and our business associates. Many corporates, whenever they have a lot of these events, they have key messaging that often doesn't get out during the Q&A of the press conference. Financial Insight took one step further and packaged it into this amazing product that we're calling Fiz Shorts. In order to test this, we were able to deploy it at the recently ended African Energy Forum in Nairobi, Kenya, which was held in June. Financial Insight was media partner for 5 companies that included Africa Green Corp, CEC, Standard Bank, Illute Solar, and Finnfund. In today's episode, we'll showcase 3 of these particular episodes that you may have already seen on our online broadcast. In the first one, we talk to the board chair of Illute Solar Project. Sipho Phiri takes us through some of the intricacies of what it's taken for them to actually develop this project and some of the innovative ways in which they're able to raise financing for projects, which has changed the landscape of energy. In our second interview, we sit down with Justin Nthala of Finnfund. He's one of the senior investment officers at Finnfund, and he takes us through some of the work that the Finnfund is actually doing in Africa. In our final episode, we sit down with Mukuka, our friend, CFO of CEC. CEC has been a partner of Financial Insight, where we recorded the CFO series, and this particular segment will be an extension of that same episode, where he talks to us at AEF about some of the challenges in raising capital for projects and what CEC are actually doing in order to be innovative in terms of raising capital for capital projects in the energy sector. Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to this special broadcast from the Africa Energy Forum. My name is Sekunda, founder of Financial Insight, and with me is a special guest from the Illute Solar Project. His name is Sipho Phiri. Mr. Sipho Phiri, how are you?
I'm very well.
Mr. Phiri, you're the chairman of Western Solar Power Company, and you're here at this year's AEF event. How have you found this event so far?
There is a lot to be gained from meeting people. Teams and Zoom doesn't always make it.
Absolutely.
And forming those relationships, catching up with people, and such a big concentration of people in the power game, it's important to attend.
Absolutely. I mean, this is one of the premium power events of the year, and essentially getting into now the Illute project. Tell us a bit about this particular project. We understand that it's based in Sesheke, and Financial Insight also understands that the project is almost a financial close. And tell us a bit about when you hope to commence construction.
Yeah, I mean, Western Solar Power, we've been developing this. We're a Zambian company. We're proud to be Zambian-led. We have partners, of course, and you need partners, We can't just do it all ourselves. I know there's a lot of nonsense going on about how evil foreigners are, and that's nonsense. We can all work together and make things forward. So Western Solar Power, with a company called Buffalo Energy,
right.
UK-based company, they came out to be based in Zambia. We have what we call helicopter developers. People are based all over the world but don't actually live in the country. That was the difference, which is why we teamed with Buffalo to move this project forward. We have community participation agreements. The community is very much involved in the project. And so we have been slowly, difficult, moving towards this financial close.
Wonderful.
But we have now got to that point where financial close is close. It's an extremely innovative project. It's only 25 megawatts. In context, all our power developments in Zambia come to about a gigawatt of power. So 25 megawatts may seem small, but it's probably going to be one of the most significant developments in Africa. It's a market changer, and that's really the innovative way we are trying to finance it, not based on the usual, let's go to ZESCO, let's get a sovereign guarantee. Right. We're going to the market through a company called Africa Green Co. We have another partner called Serengeti, which has joined us and got the financial muscle. But really, the Western Solar team are the ones who got this project going, brought it to this point. I'm sure in time you will see a lot of people claiming glory. Absolutely. It's fine. As long as the project goes, we're very happy.
Absolutely, and it's quite interesting that you're obviously bringing together various different players who have different specialities to get this project forward. But then also on the other side, we're also wondering what are some of the particular unique aspects of this particular project. And in terms of contribution, you've already mentioned that that it's 25 megawatts. But then, what from your perspective, what sort of impact do you think this particular project will have?
Well, impact on this project is going to be very significant because all around the world, generation companies sell to the market, and you can finance off that. These projects are they're not cheap. Power takes a long time of planning. It's got a lot of grid integration issues. 25 megawatts is about $40 million. So it's real money. So even we talk about a small project, $40 million in Zambian context is a lot of money. But to be able to finance that without going and saying we want a sovereign guarantee. This is how projects are financed in Africa.
Exactly, yes.
Traditionally. And that's why we're short of power. The government, the government must give you your sovereign guarantee. ZESCO must take your offtake no matter what.
And this is what makes this particular project unique.
This is what makes it very unique. It's a real game changer. And we will join the rest of the world being able to develop projects and sell to the market, Southern African power people. And that, I think, is why in the whole 1 gigawatt of development, this has got some very unique features.
Absolutely. And what would you say would, when you look at its impact within the region, because you're citing that, this is a very unique project. Do you see this particular project being like a template for other projects, hopefully that would seek to be independent of the sovereign guarantee and dependence on one off-taker?
Yeah, there's a room for a state utility. I'm not one of these people who says, everything must be privatized. I'm not. So state utilities play a role. They play important roles, but also private sector can play a role. And how you come into regulated markets like this and how you raise finance is the crucial thing. And this will set an example for everyone in the region. It's not just for us and future projects, it's for every developer in the region. And will allow Zambian developers and African IPPs, independent power producers, to be able to come in and start their projects and get them off. We've got the documentation, we've got the methodologies. So pilot projects are difficult.
Correct.
As my favorite entrepreneur, Carnegie, used to say, pioneering doesn't pay. So we've suffered with this one. But I think the long-term effect for everyone will be very significant.
Absolutely. And obviously part of the suffering is obviously having the difficult conversation with financiers of particular projects. Coming to AEF obviously gave you that opportunity possibly to meet up with prospective financiers. How have your discussions been, if you've approached any, and any prospective business associates at this year's event?
Yeah, we've been at this game a long time, too long. It's been different, this one. People now like us. Before we've been more begging.
Absolutely.
Now there's a bit more excited and well done, and people want to come in, and financiers are keen. We've got some very keen financiers. I must make special mention of FMO. FMO have been very dynamic in looking at a different model. They've been quick. Others have been a bit slow, and others, quite frankly, a bit dull. But at least the innovation and thinking is there. And FMO is a very good example. As a development financial institution from the Netherlands, this is what we need from them, and they've stepped to the plate. So I'm very happy with our meetings.
Okay, so now the unique thing about this project is that you take it all the way to Sesheke, which is obviously underprivileged communities that obviously are in need of development. What sort of impact do you feel, and from the perspective of foreign investors going into these sort of areas, what sort of impact do you feel that this particular project will have on the communities that are on the ground?
Well, you see, as a Zambian-based developer, right, and this is a crucial thing. Zambian-based, not that there's no foreigners that can complain to foreigners. Of course there's going to be foreigners. But Zambian-based, both us, some of the founders, and the local community, and Buffalo Energy, we're looking at it as you go back to Kariba, huge projects.
Correct.
What did it do? It flooded all the Tonga's land. It split the tribe in half. Power went over to Salisbury and over to Lusaka, and they don't have power, they don't have rights to water. We feel strongly as Zambian developers, communities have to benefit. So we've worked closely with the BRE and the senior chief, Nyamboyeta. He's been very progressive and very patient. We always say local communities aren't patient. We've been at this game 5-6 years.
Wow.
And they've been saying, where's the project? Where's the project? But most communities will abandon you as a con man. But they know that our intent is to make sure that they get benefits, and they're going to get significant benefits.
Obviously, yes.
And we want them to control those benefits for themselves. Of course, with financiers, we have to have international standards and accounting, and not senior chief Nyambanyeta would never do something like that. But maybe in other projects, you will find from our cousins in the north, Ferrari is being driven around. It's not going to be like that. It's going to be directed at benefiting the communities where this thing is. And it's good business practice. It's not corporate social responsibility.
Right.
It's just a business practice. And I think the communities are an important part of our project, and we want them to be.
Absolutely, and that's quite encouraging because obviously you're going to help those communities create value in and around the project itself. But then let me turn your attention on the regulatory side. Would you say, obviously there's been a lot of changes in the Zambian electricity regulatory regime. Would you say that some of the current regulatory policies are supportive of projects such as yours, such as the Illute project? But then are there aspects of the policy that could maybe help soften the struggle that many IPPs usually face, and what could possibly be improved about them?
So it's a very loaded question.
It is. I know your time in Nairobi is limited.
You told me to behave, but I'm not sure I can fully behave. But anyway, the bottom line is Zambia has probably Africa's best regulatory and policy environment. It is not implemented properly. The ERB have failed to do it. Yes, there's talk about them now implementing what policies are there.
Correct.
But the fact is that we're still struggling. Open access. All the regulations are there, but it's not priced. There are very small things which can put a spanner into a very good regulatory environment. The president is very involved in the sector. He's very concerned about issues of load shedding. He's a good planner, but it requires everyone downstream to also start implementing these policies and implementing in the way that people can move quickly. So, you hear the expression of tearing your hair out. Well, here I am. This is what you do. I had a nice afro before I started power. It is a very, very frustrating and difficult environment. Right. It is improving, but it's still not good enough. But then the policy environment is probably one of the best in Africa.
Right.
It's just we now need to get serious about implementing and delivering on it. Hopefully, with this project, again, when you're talking about innovation, the Illute Solar project will help unlock some of those issues. Right. Some of those rigidities is what we've been knocking our head against the wall for. And when that door opens, others, local Zambians we're hoping, other African IPPs, but also foreigners, must come through that door now that we've opened.
Correct. All right. And then, finally, from an Illute perspective, do you believe that an event such as this one is useful for African IPPs? And what have been some of the key takeaways from the various conversations that you've had at this year's event?
As I said to you, I hate these events. I don't like coming to them. I've been coming to them for many years, but they are useful. And I think African IPPs must come to them. They're not cheap, but it is very valuable. Power is a very small game.
Correct.
You internationally, it is a small game. For Africa, it's an even smaller game. You meet the same people. It's a club. They speak a kind of different language with EPC and financial close. And you've got to learn all of those things as an African IPP.
Right.
You've got to come to these events. And this one in Kenya is the first time that the Africa Energy Forum has been onshore in Africa.
Right.
The first one was in Mauritius, which is Africa.
Exactly.
We're proud of our Mauritians.
Exactly.
But this is the first time onshore, and I think the next one is in Sharm el-Sheikh. So if you are serious about power and getting involved, this is kind of events you have to go to. This is a premier event for that. Still don't like Vegas. But I have to say it's beneficial. Absolutely. And it is good to meet the people who are financing you. And as much as you see each other on Teams, when people are putting, our 1 gigawatt portfolio is probably a $1.5 billion.
Right.
Now, people are giving 1.5 billion, $1,500 million of Congole. Wow. It's not coming to my pocket, by the way. It's Congole debt. To see them and sit with them and let them see who you are.
Correct. It makes a difference.
It makes a difference. So that's why they managed to drag me.
All right. Okay. Fantastic. Okay. Now, Sipho Phiri from Western Power, Western Solar Power Limited, representing
and Western Power and many others.
And many others. Yes. Thank you so much for joining us on this special live broadcast from the Africa Energy Forum, and we hope that you enjoy the rest of the deliberations of this particular event. Though you don't really like them, but
I'm going home tomorrow, so I'll be fine. Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Afternoon and welcome to this special edition of the Africa Energy Forum Financial Insights coverage with our sponsors Finnfund, and with me on this particular special interview is Justin Nthala, who is the Senior Investment Manager at Finnfund. Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Mwelwa.
Justin, I hope you've enjoyed your stay in Nairobi thus far and are enjoying the forum.
So far, so good. It's been a nice experience.
Fantastic, fantastic. Anyway, we'll just get straight into it. How have you found the conference so far? I know we're in day 3 and you've had a lot of engagements with key stakeholders.
The conference has been enjoyable. I think it's a good place for networking. It brings together all the energy players in Africa, so it's been a good experience. A lot of networking and also learning from each other.
Absolutely, and when it comes to learning, we know that Finnfund is invested in across the globe in several aspects. For especially around this particular event, what key areas is Finnfund mainly focused on?
So renewable energy is obviously a sector that we support. I think we all know that power is important, energy is important for any economy to grow. But I think we also have to be cognizant of the fact that there is climate change. So Finnfund wants to support those businesses or those energy companies that are looking to provide energy, but also consider people and planet.
Right, and from our Financial Insights research, we understand that you're invested obviously 15% of your entire portfolio, about 163 million euros, on the energy sector itself. But how does Finnfund see the importance of and significance of this particular sector, as well as what sort of investment opportunities have you obviously been able to see as Finnfund within the context of Africa and obviously in general for the sector?
Yeah, so energy is very important to us. I think I already mentioned, the impact on climate change. We focus on, we can do wind projects, we can do mini hydro, we can do solar, as well as bioenergy, and we also look at energy efficiency and energy storage.
Right. Now, obviously with an event such as this, we're actually on day 3. You've had a chance to attend several panel discussions and talk to various key stakeholders. What would you say are some of the key takeaways that you'll be taking with you as you return back to Finnfund?
I attended an interesting panel discussion that got me thinking. There was a discussion around 500 billion being invested in the energy sector last year, and apparently they said only 1% of that comes to Africa. So I think we have a challenge, that we need to step up investment in energy projects in Africa. But also I think there's a key discussion around hydrogen and the future of hydrogen. So let's see what happens with green hydrogen.
Absolutely, and Financial Insight will be following closely, Finnfund's, investment journey within Africa. So I hope you enjoy the rest of, the conference. It is ending tomorrow, and hope you enjoy, the remaining panel discussions as well as the networking.
Thank you very much.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to this special broadcast from the Africa Energy Forum in Nairobi, Kenya. My name is Mukuka Sekunda, and I'll be your host for this special broadcast, where with me is the CFO of Copperbelt Energy PLC from Zambia, who's attending this event. Mr. Mukuka Mutale, welcome to the show.
Thank you, and good morning.
Good morning. So how are you finding the event so far?
Oh, the event has been great. Great interactions, great discussions, and it's been fun.
It's been fun, absolutely. Obviously, CEC has been participating in the energy forum for many years. And how significant is this particular year's event to the company, and why is it so important for you guys to be so consistent in participating?
Yeah, that's an interesting point. We've been participating for a while. For this year, I think it's even more important because we've sort of started actualizing the fruits of the interactions, the relationships, and the strategy from a business perspective. So if you look back home, we've started deploying certain projects, and a number of our partners there, whether we're looking at EPC, our financiers out here. And also it's a learning point. The landscape is significantly changing, specifically when you look at technology advancements. And it's at such forums that we get to learn what's happening, we get to catch up, we get to share ideas, and feed that into our strategy and policy direction from our interactions with the government perspective.
Absolutely. And what's been quite interesting is that we were able to capture some footage of you at one of the panel discussions at this year's event. And at that panel discussion, there were several issues that around energy transition that were brought up. Now, Financial Insight does understand that your company is obviously invested in renewables, and you understand the complexities of financing these projects. Yesterday, you mentioned some key points that need to be looked into. What are your insights from that particular event, and what are some of those key points that you would want financials to know about?
No, thanks. I think, look, from a financing perspective, some of the key challenges that the sector has is that we're sort of coming from historically where everyone was used to deal with the government, and any form of financing of infrastructure has to be underpinned, or you needed some form of sovereign guarantees to come into place. But if you look at where we are today, most governments in Africa, whether it's Zambia, South Africa, you come to Kenya, you look at all of them, look, they've got their own issues from an infrastructure perspective and financing perspective. So how can financiers, developers like ourselves come together and find innovative solutions of financing these projects without necessarily bringing in the government or sovereign guarantees to underpin these projects? And really that's one of the key focus areas from a business perspective, trying to see how we can work with all the key players, specifically challenging the financiers that let's review the risk allocation and see if we can structure projects differently and ensure that we continue in the development agenda.
Absolutely, and I like the point that you put across regarding the allocation of risk. I believe in your panel discussion you did talk about the importance of now maybe say the B2B sort of approach being put in that perspective. But speaking of B2B, it's obviously one of the key things about participating in events such as this one. How has the B2B interaction been at this 2023 event, and are you hoping to take home some deals in progress or deals that will probably be closed?
Yeah, look, it's really the reason why we are here, right? B2B engagements, because we are sort of pushing a pipeline of projects, specific businesses that we are working with on various projects, specifically the financiers. So we've had very good engagements with them. We've made progress on existing transactions, which we are hoping that it will help us to get to some form of close within the next few months. We also did have some very good B2B meetings with technology providers. So we now start looking at things differently. You know, the technology advancements, some of which we were not aware of, we see how that can fit into our sort of supply portfolio. So overall, I think very good engagements, and I think I'm quite pleased that we came in here and had the discussions with our partners.
Absolutely, and you know, just before we end, and congratulations, by the way, your company won the Best Picture award. But what would you say are some of the few key takeaways that you take with you from your interactions with key delegates that you've had discussions with and your various interactions?
No. Thanks on the kind message. Yeah. Look, in terms of the key takeaways for me is that the landscape is fast changing. I think without a doubt there are opportunities because of the supply-demand dynamics. Now this is not just in Zambia, this is primarily across the continent. There might be one or two countries that have surpluses of power today, but generally there is growing demand. And with a growing demand and the need for us to sort of decarbonize the world, there comes an opportunity. What technologies should we be deploying? How quickly can we do it? And one of the biggest issues is that primarily this business power sector infrastructure is dominated sort of by government utilities. Correct. Now there is a realization overall that there is need for private sector money to come in. And therefore what we are seeing across various jurisdictions is a sort of change in reforms, in policy changes to try and see how the reforms can attract private sector money. And that in itself for us is a key takeaway. What can we learn from there? How are the reforms happening in one country versus the other? Absolutely. Is there some form of synchronization that can happen to allow for a seamless and alignment of rules and of engagement? And finally, there are just too many opportunities. So it's time to go back and look at them, see if we can actualize that.
Absolutely, absolutely. It's been great chatting with you. And on behalf of the team and myself at Financial Insight, we'd like to thank you, and also thank you for also appearing on the CFO series. I hope everyone will have had a chance to actually watch it by now. And we look forward to further engagements. And wishing you all the best in the rest of the remaining 2 days of this particular 2023 edition of the Africa Energy Forum.
Thank you, and thank you for being here.
Hi again. I hope you've enjoyed this evening's viewing of The Fiz Show. This was a specially packaged episode of The Fiz Show where we were showcasing Fiz Shorts, which is our latest new product. I'd like to thank you all for following the Financial Insight story. And if you'd like to continue to view our content, you can subscribe to all our channels that include social media channels like Facebook, YouTube, LinkedIn, Instagram, and Twitter. And if you'd like to buy the Fiz Shorts service, if you're a corporate, you can actually subscribe to the service by getting in touch with us with the details that will be on the screen. On behalf of my team and I'd like to say thank you and see you in the next episode.